Good evening, everybody. My name is Scott Jacobs, and you're listening to Juice Sports Radio, along with NFL expert Mike Kay. What a story we just saw develop in Miami. The Dolphins, 0-5, playing Denver, 1-5, in Tim Tebow's first start of the season, suck for luck, hanging all over the crowd. You've got the Gators 2009 championship team being celebrated in Miami on the Hurricanes' home field. And the Dolphins managed to blow a 15-0 fourth-quarter lead against the Denver offense that had registered roughly 40 passing yards before their final two scores. Mike, make some sense of this, please.
I mean, I don't know if there's any logical, I guess it proves that the Dolphins are easily the worst team in the league. Tony Soprano, if he's not fired tonight, will be fired tomorrow morning. There's absolutely no question in my mind. And if he doesn't, I think that the entire Miami Dolphins fan base should boycott the team for the next 5 years or however long Stephen Ross owns this team.
Let's talk about Ross, because Ross put his team in a bizarre situation. First, to get fans for the game, they decided to honor the 2009 Gators team at halftime, knowing Tebow was going to start. So they get an extra 20,000 sales in tickets by selling out. Fans are booing the Gators at halftime and whatnot. Then you've got Tebow fans all over the place. And then, in what might be one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in an NFL game, you have Urban Meyer next to Stephen Ross, the Dolphins owner, at the end of the game, just chatting up while Denver is driving for a winning score, or for a tying score, and you've got Ross laughing and smiling like he almost knows that he wants this team to tank. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I can't. I mean, maybe Dan Gilbert when the Cavs were doing so awful and they thought LeBron was like a real possibility, like the pre-red and yellow days of the Cavs. But, this is atrocious. I mean, I think it's pretty telling that Urban Meyer is now candidate number one for the head coaching job next season, for sure.
Which I think is a joke, because the Dolphins and the Dolphins fan base, I don't think, besides maybe some Gators, anyone wants to see Urban Meyer as the head coach of this team. It just doesn't make any sense. He has no NFL coaching experience. We already went down this road, if you're a Dolphins fan, with Nick Saban, and that was a train wreck that one could argue set the Dolphins further back. The only thing the Dolphins can do right now that seems to be working in their favor is lose. And you're going to have a lot of NFL fans, and you've got a lot of NFL pundits already across the nation going, okay, are we officially on a Dolphins tanking job watch now? Because all of this is getting a little, and I'm going to give a pun here, fishy. This is getting to be a really strange situation in Miami.
It's almost like Stephen Ross was sent there to destroy everything. He's got the Josh McDaniels effect, and that's kind of ironic because they were playing Denver. You know, it just didn't seem like Brandon Marshall even showed up for the game. He knows where they're at. Matt Moore had a decent effort, I guess. But if you look at the first half of the game, both teams were 0-7 in converting third downs.
0-15 as late as the third quarter converting first down. It was comical.
I mean, I hear you. That catch that was made in the red zone.
Incredible.
Number 86. I'm trying to remember who that is, but I think
Fields,
it was
or
Daniel
Fells.
Graham.
It was Fells.
Oh, was it Daniel Fells? Okay, yeah.
Probably the best catch of the season this year, if you ask me, given the circumstances.
What a hell of a throw. And, you know, the thing is, everybody in that entire stadium knew that Tebow was running that in for the two-point conversion. I mean, They knew. And, I'm not a Tebow fan, but, I mean, that was exciting to watch. And I think that it sets Denver up to at least have him in the conversation for starting quarterback next year.
Let's talk about that really quick, because in reality, you're playing a Dolphins team that clearly has no life to them. Their coach is on the hottest hot seat ever. I almost feel bad for Sperano at this point, because you might as well just fire him. I don't think he even wants to coach this team. I'm almost waiting for him to just resign, because this has to be awful for him, even though he's a horrible coach. And going for two probably cost them the game. But, you look at Tim Tebow, he was atrocious through about three quarters. All the analysis during the game by the commentators was, what in the world? He couldn't do anything right. All he could do was run. And then he just magically as some people were joking on Twitter, by God's will, gets the Broncos 15 unanswered points, the Dolphins muff an onside kick. With no timeouts, Denver scores in the final minute and a half or whatever it was. I'm not buying that Tebow's a great quarterback. I'm buying that he had a great finish against what might be a worse team than the 0-16 Detroit Lions of a few years ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. I think that fourth quarter, I think John Fox realized how he wanted to call the game. He wasn't calling the game like Kyle Orton was in there. He was calling it as Tebow was in there. And they did dump off passes. They did very short screens. That second touchdown was, a swing screen, a bubble screen to the tight end Feld. I mean, that's what you need to do with Tebow, and I think they kind of learned this was a feeling out process, and I think Tebow really delivered. You know, that's what leaders do. He's not a terrific quarterback, but he's a leader, and he willed his team to victory. And honestly, this has got to be the best story, at least of the month. This is going to be on SportsCenter tomorrow. Albert Pujols just hit 3 home runs, completely decimated the Texas Rangers, and nobody's going to be talking about that in the World Series because Tim Tebow has fully delivered in this game, and there's no way to undersell this. He is really just, wow. That's the type of game that Donovan McNabb would have in the early 2000s. Running quarterback. Randall Cunningham used to do that all the time in the 90s. Steve McNair did it. He's a running quarterback that, when needed leadership, he can deliver, and I think it's brilliant. He had a brilliant performance in that fourth quarter.
So we know the Dolphins fan base is going to be made fun of mercilessly for the way this game played out. It was just an awkward situation in every aspect. Dolphins lose another home game. Denver, who has the worst road record, I believe, in the last 3 seasons or something like that, finally wins a road game. It's something had to give, I guess. So let me ask you, is Miami going to win a game this year? Because this sure looked like their best shot.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it would do him any justice. That's part of the reason why I think Sperano is going to be with the team. If Sperano is with the team, that's the only justifiable reason. Why give another coach such a horrible look? The team looks uninspired. There's no one on the team that really, wows anybody. Brendan Marshall is proving that outside of the system that he ran with Mike Shanahan, he's an average wide receiver. And, it's all talk from their defense. There's nothing there. There's no cohesion. They're all playing as just individual players. And they know where they're at. They know that they're destined for awfulness at this point. And it's sad to watch the Dolphins fans, the few really hardcore dedicated ones in South Florida, see this. I actually saw, I don't know if you saw this, but when the field goal went in for the win, there were Dolphins fans cheering hysterically. It was ridiculous. I saw one woman clapping her hands off, but she was obviously wearing Dolphins gear. I think that's deplorable, and they're going to lose their entire fan base. It's not like Detroit, where those guys are just homebred Detroit Lions fans. Most people moved down here and accepted the Dolphins as their team.
I'm a Dolphins fan right now. I'm not accepting this team as my team because their performance in the final few minutes of the game was flat out embarrassing. That was your instant analysis on the Broncos defeating the Miami Dolphins in stunning fashion, 18-15 in overtime. Mike, thanks for taking the time to join us. Wow, what a finish in Sun Life Stadium. Follow us on Twitter at Juiced Sports Now and check us out at juicedsportsblog.com.